From north of here in Nowra all the way to the Victorian border and beyond, people are facing the agonising decision tonight of whether to stay or go. And now we're facing multiple new significant fire fronts in places like the Kosciuszko National Park, as far afield as places like Tumut and Batlow. We've got reporters right across all of the affected regions tonight. We'll step you through all of this carefully, but we'll begin with Elizabeth Byrne, who's in the town of Batlow, where residents are now being told it is too late to leave.
To stay or go, that's the conundrum for many in the Snowy Mountains as catastrophe threatens. But for some, the decision was out of their hands, with 400 people evacuated from Kosciuszko National Park and residents in the small town of Batlow also ordered to go.
I think we're just all shocked. We can't comprehend that it's happening, I guess. Some people went home and just quietly packed, and some people went home and got panicky and packed.
It was harder for some than others.
Like a lot of things you build up and a lifetime achievement, and it can be gone in a few minutes.
Firefighters at Batlow spent the night backburning and mopping up, getting ready to fight the Duns Road fire they expect to threaten the town. Public briefings have also been held across the region at Bombala, Adaminaby, Cooma and Jindabyne.
Authorities cannot guarantee that a firefighting appliance and resources will be available to reach each property. It's just too much happening.
We're intending to stay. We're wetting down everything outside, and we do have a dugout underneath where we can go at last resort.
We're going to stay and defend our house. Well, I had to leave Thredbo this morning, so I'm here deciding what to do.
These scenes of deserted towns are being played out across the region today as tourists and locals leave to be out of harm's way. Many of Batlow's residents left yesterday after a town meeting when the evacuation was ordered. Those leaving today are heading to Wagga and Tumut for safety. But some have decided to stay and defend their properties.
We live in the bank building on the corner, which is a 3-storey, very, very solid structure. And there's also a vault in there as well as the vault footing, so we've got quite a lot of safety zones.
All aboard.
The last bus rolled out at 10 o'clock this morning. After nearly everyone was gone, it's now a waiting game. Elizabeth Byrne, ABC News, Batlow.
Well, right up and down the south coast at evacuation points just like this one, they've been filling up steadily all day with camper vans, trailers, people seeking refuge. But they still do have difficult decisions to make. Do they stay here tonight? Do they try and get out? Do they try and beat the traffic early in the morning? Do they try and beat the weather that's expected to come later in the day tomorrow? Hamish Macdonald has been out meeting some of those people making those difficult choices.
There's an eerie feeling in Surfside. While many have fled this tiny suburb, those left behind are bracing for the worst. Bryony Badenoch loved these trees, but they now pose a safety threat.
We're going to run from spot fire to spot fire, hopefully that's all it'll be, and if it gets really bad we'll just escape to the beach.
Until recently, it was unthinkable that bushfires would threaten these seaside towns.
This guy is going to save us.
In Maruya, Ryan Gallagher is anxiously watching the skies. Like so many, his exit plan involves water.
Stand by the river, ready to jump in if I need to.
Some are relying on their neighbours.
We have our plan. Kate's going to send the kids over and she'll try and save her dad's, and this will all be wet down, and then if it gets too bad they'll come over to here.
The Lake family says they'll run if the ferocious fire just kilometres away moves closer.
We've got each other. They've packed a few items that they cherish and keep it simple so we can get out quick if we need to.
We're hoping our friends are going to be okay because they're where the fires are and we're really scared and hope they're going to be okay.
This morning, the largest petrol station in town is only open for RFS crews. It has backup power generators in case it loses electricity and has brought in extra fuel to cater for the demand from RFS crews deployed to the region.
The conditions are just, everything's just right for a massive fire at this stage. To pull it up, I don't think anybody has an answer.
While those staying behind here on the coast may have plans to retreat to the water, not everyone has that option. The RFS is concerned that residents living in densely timbered areas may choose to stay behind, despite being warned to leave. Philippa Macdonald, ABC News, Batemans Bay.
Now, between Bega, just north of Bega, and Bermagui, there are a lot of particularly vulnerable villages and inlets that today residents have been told it is time to get out. One of those particularly vulnerable communities is Narooma, where our reporter Jade McMillan is live for us. Fear, but how are people preparing themselves for tomorrow?
Well, it's relatively calm here at the moment, but this community is very anxious about what could be on the way. There is an evacuation centre in town, but the reason why some people are camped here at the moment is that this is one of the places where the water is, and this is where they feel safest. Now, most, if not all, of the tourists who had been in town appear to have listened to those warnings, and they got out while they could. Most of the people here are from smaller communities around Narooma where they don't feel as protected. They say they've done what they can to prepare, and now they wait.
And in terms of preparations for tomorrow, when you look at the bushfire maps, Jade, Narooma is one of those places that does just look so clearly vulnerable on the fire maps. What are people actually doing to get themselves ready, get themselves through those critical hours, particularly in the mid to late afternoon tomorrow?
Well, firefighters have set up strike teams right across the bushfire-affected parts of the state. They say they have extra personnel, extra appliances, so that they're ready to respond where they're needed most. We were in Maruya earlier today, and the water bombers there were constantly coming down to the river to reload, to do what they could before conditions worsen. And here, people are being told that if they choose to stay to defend their properties, they should put their yellow lidded recycling bins out the front as a sign to firefighters that they're there. The message from authorities is that their number one priority tomorrow will be protecting lives.
Jade McMillan, we'll leave it there for now. Stay safe. Thank you very much indeed. Well, you will have heard a lot about the towns of Cobargo and Bermagui, a bit further on the coast, over the last few days. They've already faced down these fires in a pretty significant way, and many people have elected to stay in those areas again tomorrow as the fires threaten seriously. Philip Williams has been to meet some of those people.
The cows survived, but the house and everything else went up in flames. This is now home for Coama residents Robert and Judy Gillies. Their advice for those thinking of riding out a firestorm:
my opinion, go. Your life isn't worth staying.
It's a message repeated up and down this stretch of coast. Get out while you still can.
Just advising residents that it's time to go.
I'm determined to stay until I think it's too risky. And that could be early in the morning.
But not everyone can leave. Shortages of just about everything have left some evacuees at hard-hit Cobargo stranded and frustrated.
We can't move. We've got no fuel to go anywhere, even if we wanted to. So we've just got to prepare this area as best as we can.
Virtually all the tourists have heeded the call. They've left, leaving Bermagui almost a ghost town. But those locals that have stayed, many of them are sticking close to the coast. And if it all gets too much and the fire does come into the town, at least they've got the beach. There are still tents and caravans near the beach, but almost everyone is a local, determined to stay close to their homes, but not necessarily in them.
We're not going to go back and defend the house, but we're going to stay. There's clearly a lot of people staying, and I think the aftermath there's going to be some support needed.
A quick escape isn't an option for everyone, not that they plan on going anyway.
We've done our fire drills. We know what's going on. We've got our sacks in the water. We've filled our green and yellow bin up with water. We've got a blanket around our whizzy gigs so that the sparks can't get in. Our shutters are tight.
With horrendous conditions predicted, any change of mind could come far too late, and rescue may simply not be possible. Philip Williams, ABC News, Bermagui.
Well, for those leaving the smaller communities right up and down the south coast, for many the destination is the Bega Showgrounds, one of the biggest and best organised evacuation centres in this state right now. Phil Williams is there live for us tonight. Phil, they've just had a briefing there. People know what is in store tomorrow. Are they ready for it?
Well, Hamish, they're as ready as they can be. They've gathered here. This showground is now full to overflowing. They've got to establish new areas in Bega because of the numbers of people that have come into town from the outlying areas that have heeded the call. Come to Bega, you'll be protected here and you'll be safe. But of course, people here are still very, very nervous. In the hills behind me, there are fires. They're only a few kilometres away, and it depends on the wind and it depends on the ferocity of that wind and the direction as to whether these people will also be potentially in danger later tomorrow.
Phil Williams, thank you very much. Now, there is a lot of information to take in, given the scale of this bushfire emergency across New South Wales right now, but there is one map that is worth taking a look at before we leave you from here in Batemans Bay from now. This is from the RFS. It was published this afternoon. It demonstrates where they think the fires are going to move over the next 24 hours. The dark grey shaded areas are where the fire has already been. The deep red areas is where they expect fire to move in the next 24 hours. The red shaded areas are the areas they think could be vulnerable to ember attack. It's very significant swathes of territory right across New South Wales. That is available on the ABC website right now.